Hey, today I offer an insightful intake on elderly individuals and why we should respect their decisions even if it feels it's against our will. First, let's take you to a rehab center. You're having a discussion with your grandpa about taking care of himself. Now, maybe he's more lackadaisical about it, and you or someone else is pressuring him to make sure he takes it seriously. However, you get healthy laughs from him instead of complaints and denial. Why is this? I believe it's because of the things that I'm about to mention, which makes elderly people already aware of this, and understanding these concepts will help you attain a better relationship with the elderly, at least from my experience. Number one, the elderly understand the concept of remaining time. As someone of that age, they understand that they do not have much time left on the planet, right? And they understand that they would have to take care of themselves to the best of their ability before they die, so that way they can make the most out of the experience that they're living on this planet. And number two, let them live as they wish. They went through what I call 45 years of tyranny, aka a manual labor job if they have, let's say, like if they're 70 as of 2023, and now is their only time left to take care of themselves in the way they want to. You have the capability to understand that this is their life and not yours to be dictated. Correct? What I mean by this is you don't have the liability to tell them what to do with their lives. But that's something that I don't really get, because if they are willing to, if they have already put in the major amount of work they need to in their lives, why can't they live out the rest of it in the way that they wish to live it out? They already were forced to confine and be constrained into this sort of malleable thing, like person, that could bend in whatever way the government put them to, or in whatever way that their boss told them to, their wife, their kids. That could be because they didn't know how to communicate. That could be because they didn't have enough time, or maybe they're genuinely working like 16-hour days, right? So they already went through that, and let them understand that, or let them know that they have the responsibility to rest themselves, but they can live their life as they wish to. And that you just wish that they don't live it in a way that they'll regret when they die. Okay. And I have like notes here. So, number three, if they're willing to let go, so should you. And this is a battle of your selfish desire versus their sense of self. What will you choose? Now, I'm hoping that with this video, you will start to choose their sense of self, because your selfish desire doesn't really get you anywhere. I mean, think about your personal life. How many times has your selfish desire gotten somewhere, right? Oh, but this is the one time that'll actually work for me because it'll make sure that he stays healthy. No, the fuck it won't. No, it won't. He'll just do things behind your back. He'll outsmart you. He's got an extra 2 decades on your ass. You don't think that he knows how to say, okay, yeah, you're not here. I'm going to do what I want now. Fuck you. Absolutely not. That's tyrannical bullshit is what I call it. All right? So having to latch on with your selfish desire is only draining your mental and spiritual energy, and it's doing practically nothing to his or hers or whoever that person may be to you. And the reason why I mention all this is because I was visiting my grandpa when my parents were saying that he has to live in a certain way to maintain his health. There may be some power to do that within himself, as long as he can move and think, then you're fine. But I'd like you to picture your child telling you what to do and what you need to do with the remaining time of your life. You'd find it relatively insane, wouldn't you? And perhaps you need to be reminded that they have been on this planet decades longer than you have. Not just a simple matter of, oh, they're a generation older than me, but they have been on this planet for decades longer than you have. They have made decades worth of more mistakes than you have, and they have develop themselves into the direction that they deserve. Okay? And if that person doesn't understand that concept, then and only then would I allow you to teach him that concept and teach him that you deserve where you've got. Now, why is that? Well, certainly it can't be because that they worked 16 hours and the government still took all their money, basically, right? No, it couldn't be that. But maybe it's because you decided to put yourself into that position, whether you knew better or not, and you decided not to try to figure out the better things and not to actually put in the effort to get there. Because you can't figure out something without putting any effort into it, right? I can't figure out how to be a millionaire without becoming a millionaire, right? Simple logic like that. I can't figure out how to make my message better to my audience if I'm not trying to make my message better to my audience. It's simple as that. And that really applies to elderly people as well. So, they made decades worth more mistakes than you have, and yet you're willing to tell them how to do it. Do you know what bullshit that is? They've been on the planet longer, they have more experience, they understand their time constraints. So, telling them what to do is sort of outrageous, especially if you're doing it to try to see him alive in your manner, which is to keep him in your mental image like a true selfish bastard. At least I think. So, with all this being said, especially if you're the type of person that doesn't live the exact life that you want to live, how can you then take your responsibility and your liability and try to put it on somebody else and telling them to live that certain way? If they're skinny and you're obese and you're telling them how to live, how the fuck do you think you're going to be respected? Seriously. Like, ask yourself this. How will I be respected if I am trying to teach someone who has more experience than me, who knows life better than I do, to try to teach them how to live a certain way? How am I going to go tell Alex Hormozy, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk how to run a business? Makes no fucking sense. What, like, do you see what I'm getting at here? Why would I tell the CEO of ExxonMobil how to get oil? Like, the fuck? They have it, right? They have it. They have more of it than you do. So, if you're trying to teach somebody something that you don't know about, that's complete bullshit. Because then you're not putting yourself on there, and you're not testing it yourself to see the results that you got, right? Like, I can't tell you how to make 1 million views on YouTube, because I never have. Hell, I've barely gotten 100 and I've gotten 160 video. My highest video view count right as of today recording this is 170. Well, I definitely need more than 170 if I want to make this a business. So, I'm working on it, right? Okay, that's perfectly fine, right? If you want to go up to your elderly, right, and you say, okay, I don't know, maybe I don't know how to live life as much as you do, in the way that you want to. But, if you want this thing, which most people want, I did it using this, and you might be able to do this as well. Okay, now you're making a suggestion to him. And now, he can either take that information and say, I agree, I'll try it. Or, he could look at you and say, fuck off, you're being stupid, you don't actually know what the consequences of that are, and that's much worse than the benefits. Now you go, well, what do you think? Let them talk, you listen. Because now, not only are you opening the door for a two-way communication, you're actually learning lessons from him, and he can also learn lessons from you. Do you see how that works? Because if you ever notice this, elderly people always listen. They always have their ears open, right? If you had your ears open, you would have noticed a silence I purposely made about like 3 seconds ago. If you didn't, then you're missing out on the point of listening, right? Because when you're listening, you're in presence. You are in presence with him, with her, with that person, right? And this goes beyond just even family relationships or wife and husband relationships or girlfriend-boyfriend relationships. This goes on to anything, right? So, I mean, like, even, like, famous psychologists like Jordan Peterson go on about this. Carl Jung, I'm pretty sure, and Sigmund Freud, they all go on about listening. Because if you want to obtain lessons and you want to use them in your life to make yourself better, you have to listen first. Because if you can't listen, you can't apply it, and then you can't learn. Right? Learning is the change of behavior in the same circumstance. Right? So, learning how to quit an addiction is simply changing your behavior in a circumstance where you feel like you need to do the thing. Okay. So then, change it. Right? Now, it's obviously it's easier done, but through the repetition of change, you drag yourself away from any addictions. And when you I haven't done this yet, but when you successfully identify as that thing is disgusting and absurd, get it away from me, and I am something better than that, then there you go. Now, I haven't done that part personally yet, but I have been able to get away from doing that thing as a everyday habit, and I've been able to get away from doing any addiction of sorts I've been able to do it into, like, maybe once, twice a month, right? Like, nowhere near as bad, and I'm happy about that. But I do understand that I want more, so I can chop off the hydra, not the head, but kill it, right? Because addictions are like hydras to people, and elderly people can really teach you about that. Like, if I didn't listen, I wouldn't have remembered that my grandpa, it's a different one, quit smoking entirely, right? So he knew how to quit. He knows how to quit smoking because he did it. He learned how to quit smoking. And I have a feeling it's because of the certain patterns of, okay, I felt this way, but I did a different behavior in that circumstance. That's learning. So, what this has to do with elderly people is that they can teach you how to learn, and they can teach you these valuable lessons, so that way you don't have to spend years and months and days and weeks and whatever time period of your life figuring out that thing. That's why books are so great. That's why if you read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, he teaches you the psychology of teaching to people, the psychology of bringing your point across, of listening, of providing value, so that way you don't have to spend 70 years of your life figuring it out. Right? So, if you're not obtaining knowledge from people's lives of experience, you are literally blundering your own circumstances and letting the external world control how you develop in ways that you don't want to. Right? Hence, social media. But anyways, that is my point on elderly people and why you should respect them and why you should let their choices go, even if it's against your own will. And I hope that I provided some value and gave you a better understanding of why you should almost adopt like the Chinese tradition of like respecting the elderly. So that way, in a sense, it kind of moves you to act rather than moving them to, like, moving you to act correctly rather than moving them to defend themselves, right? So, hope you gained a valuable lesson from this, and I hope it provides something to you, and if you think it did, maybe share it with somebody, let them know. If someone's struggling with relationships of, like, elderly people, then maybe you can send it to them as well. And, anything else I want to say? I don't think so. So I'll do the thingy now. Go subscribe. I love doing this. It's so fun. I just like move my hands around and stuff. But anyways, I'm going to cut it off there. And as always, we're here to help you help them.